Posting your disappointment about someone on social media is something we often do, but is there more to consider if you have a large following? On this episode of IMO, we discuss if Sheila Sim mentioning her husband's failure to plan Mother's Day for her on social media was an inconsiderate move. You must understand that there are more senseless people than sensible people.
On the internet?
On the internet.
You signed up to be someone of social influence on social media, but your partner / anyone around you did not.
Did not.
Like, they truly did not. They
don't deserve
dated
to
you
be
even
collateral.
before. Exactly.
Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of In My Opinion. My name is John.
My name is Lester.
And yes, welcome back to another episode this week. Do remember to follow us on Overthink SG at everywhere on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Telegram, Twitch, Snapchat, Twitter, OnlyFans.
OnlyFans, yeah, soon. One day. Mark my words.
Thank you.
Today, thank you so much for subscribing to our OnlyFans. Today's episode, we are going to be talking it's going to be a short one, but it's a very interesting episode for me personally. But actually, Brianna came to John with this idea, and we were thinking that actually quite a good topic to talk about. It's about Sheila Sim. So, Sheila Sim. Basically, the headline by Mothership is actress Sheila Sim disappointed that husband failed to plan anything for Mother's Day. And should I read out the IG post?
Yeah. Do
okay,
it.
let me read out the IG post is Happy
live.
Mother's. Is this too live? Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Happy Mother's Day to me. No celebrations, no flowers, no cards for me this Mother's Day. Cause the husband failed to plan. I'm disappointed because Mother's Day is the most meaningful day for me. Not my birthday, but Mother's Day because I work so hard to be a mother. So then she goes on a few more other lines that I think is all around the same thing lah. Basically about how she does this for her children and something that she really cares about and everything like that.
Say because we mamas deserve to be celebrated.
Yeah. So I personally am not that. I don't think it's like that big of a deal that she feels disappointed,
right?
Because I think sure you don't feel as appreciated on the day.
Normal, right?
Yeah,
that's part of the normal human experience, isn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of like when no one wish me happy birthday, I'm a bit disappointed. Sure. And in fact, no one wishes me happy birthday, so it's okay. Life is alright. But so I understand that part. What I am what we are going to be talking a little bit more about is about how much you should share online. How much of that disappointment or our emotions should we be sharing online?
Yes.
And that to me is more interesting because especially coming from two people of very small but still existent influence in the social media space.
Yes.
It's something I had to think about and I'm sure something you had to think about. So first impression, John, what's your first impression of this whole event?
Okay, my first impression is that I think what she did here was fine, but also at the same time a little bit inconsiderate.
To who?
A little bit inconsiderate to her family members lah. Regardless of whether it's her husband or not, even though this one, the clear direction, the first person that she was sort of implying didn't succeed was her husband. In fact, the line literally says, because the husband failed to plan.
Yeah.
Right? So, I think that's where it gets a little bit inconsiderate because you must understand that you are somebody who is has a platform on social media, has a following, but has absolutely no control over the way people react, your fans react to what you say.
Yeah, definitely.
And as a result, being someone who has a prominent following on social media, right? I feel that you need to very quickly learn the ways of the world. You know? You know, when in Rome, right? Right? In that sense, right? You must understand that there are more senseless people than sensible people.
On the internet?
On the internet.
100%. Yes, definitely.
And as a result, very quickly it can go from a outpouring of support to a show of force.
The internet people are very extreme.
Whoever. Yeah. Against whoever that you point out. Right? And that's where it gets tricky. Because I don't want to say that she's not allowed to use her personal platform to post whatever she wants. You know, she's a mother; she deserves to be loved. I'm not trying to say anything about her being a mother or her right to post whatever she wants. I'm just saying that in this one particularly isolated incident, she didn't play that balancing game well enough.
Okay,
Between
so
personal platform and
yeah.
big platform. Yeah.
Do you think that like the part of the reason why you are so uncomfortable with what
Yeah.
she did was because of maybe not part of it. Do you think the full fault is really just because like she has such a big following? Like if she didn't have this much following, let's say she is like a 100 follower
Yeah.
like random Instagrammer person who
Uh-huh.
posted this exact same post, would you have been as uncomfortable with it, or would you have been equally uncomfortable?
I would say that I'll be as uncomfortable, but I'll be a little bit less uncomfortable. But I'm
Okay,
still
okay.
uncomfortable. The reason
Okay,
being,
okay.
right? The reason being the platform. The bigger the platform, the more obvious the issue is. The more
okay,
the more
okay.
tricky the issue is, because I personally did something like this before.
Oh, have
Yeah.
you?
Where there
What
was
did you
an
do?
incident where I accidentally, out of concern for something, accidentally called out a brand.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
So I posted an article, a well-meaning bunch of stories from my friend who was talking about how certain home-based products may not be good for you to use. Right? And then as a gesture of goodwill, I reshared those onto my platform because I do understand I have a small platform. So I post, right? But what happened was I neglected to realize that those screenshots brought negative press to the owners of some of these brands. And as a result, right, they were quite affected by it. They were not happy
Yeah.
lah. So one of them actually
Of
reached out
course.
to me. And as a result from that, I learned a very
Yeah.
important lesson, a very valuable lesson, right? And that is that a lot of the times, there are a lot of unintended consequences because of your own personal actions on social media. Like, do I still stand? Do I still hold firm to my belief that certain home-based creations are not good for your health because they don't go through the tough regulations, which was the message they are trying to send? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But do I also acknowledge that what I did, right, unnecessarily caused distress for those brands as well? Yes. And as a result, I learned that the internet is not a sensible place. And it being not a sensible place, the onus is then on the poster with the platform, right, to be careful who you point the direction at.
That makes sense. Okay.
If you try to talk about Mother's Day, for example, and you're trying to say how it is important to you, right, and how mothers should be celebrated, it should not come at the potential expense of anyone else, much less a family member.
Okay, then is it okay? I'm trying to like figure out whether or not we are uncomfortable with it. Partially might be because we don't view this as like that big of a deal. Because if let's say for example, if the issue would have been a lot more serious,
Yeah.
let's say okay, don't want to compare it to anything else, but let's say it's a lot more serious to the point where like it's like called outable in our society, right? Like you can actually say that like, oh, my boyfriend did this and
Yeah.
it was fucked up, and everyone agrees it's fucked up.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have been as up in arms about it as compared to now.
I
Right?
agree.
It's just that
This one I
now
agree with you.
maybe it's a bit more
Because-
like frivolous to in our heads. That's why we're like, why would you want to do that?
Because
Like,
every
there
action
might be overreaction.
is personal, right? Every reaction
Yeah,
that
yeah.
we have to things that happen to us is personal. Like I say this all the
Yeah.
time, right? I try to be neutral in my peace time, but if people do me wrong, I will go gone girl on their ass, especially in a relationship, right?
Yeah.
So I am technically a little bit hypocritical. Hypocritical.
Hypocritical.
Hypocritic
Yeah,
is the oath. Hypocritical.
the oath, right?
I'm being a little bit hypocritical here by saying this, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think because we are on the internet and we're neutral and we're not involved in this, we are entitled to have this conversation, and that's where I think the general public, right, right, knows that like it knows that it could potentially be a hurtful action when you post the matter with a clear target. Now, why I say this is important, an important distinction is because the entire reason why I acknowledge that I will go gone girl and all that kind of thing and then call people out on the internet is because I know it will hurt. You see? So in a very roundabout way, right, I am weaponizing something that people on social media already instinctively know exists.
Like the influence and the fact that it might
Yeah,
like, change
and the fact that it will
opinions and
cause
all that.
a ripple effect that may snowball for whoever it is on the other end,
Sure. Yeah.
right? And that
Yeah.
has been always the weaponizing agenda some people do, right?
Yeah,
Why
of
would
course.
there was this influencer that posted about cheating and then taking to court? I cannot remember who it was lah. Also,
Oh, yeah.
post on social media, what?
Yeah.
Clearly, there is something weaponizable here.
Of course,
What it is, we cannot clearly describe, but it definitely exists.
I'm just trying to think whether or not we are reading too much into it, right? Like, cause like, of course, there's one point of view that is like being weaponized, and this whether subconsciously or consciously is like self-weaponized. But at the same time, like this person can come out and say, like, I'm sure if you talk to Sheila one day, and she'll probably just be saying that like Instagram is like probably just my diary.
Yeah.
I'm very open about my opinions and my emotions, just like the two of us.
I
And it's
totally
just
agree.
That there are certain things we don't talk about, right?
I totally agree. There's a possibility.
Yeah, Lord, the thing that we are our line and that we won't cross just so happens is not her line, you know? So in that sense, is she really like that wrong?
No,
or is it just like our own line that like honestly we cannot impose on her and she actually can just do whatever she wants?
I agree with what you just said. That's why I never say she's wrong. What I'm saying is inconsiderate. Because
okay.
Yeah, because the thing about it is that it is a personal platform, right? In fact, her branding is her name, right? It doesn't get more personal than that, right? It's like I create an account called John Lim, and that's me, right? And I should be entitled to post whatever I want. And in fact, if I post whatever I want, more power to whoever it is, right? But the thing about it is that why I say it's inconsiderate, because her husband, right, is someone who is a family member, not as a result of her platform. Family member because of their personal life, right? But as a result of this post, right, where she kind of aired her dirty laundry I'm not comfortable calling it air dirty laundry, even though that's what the article mentioned, right? I'm not comfortable calling that because like she like you rightly mentioned, she could just be saying what she's saying. But as a result, the internet picks it up as such. Right? And picking it up as such, right, has affected the experience of her family member negatively. Like people are commenting on her husband's post. I just read out a few random comments, okay? So one of the random comments is, appreciate your wife more, leh. Then someone mentioned, damn bro, any regrets marrying a celebrity who knows no restraint? One mistake and she's bragging on her social media, what a lousy husband you are. Then another person says, wife say you lousy husband, what you doing? Then someone say, on national newspapers, lousy husband, your wife also say.
Okay, I do think that like to a certain extent, she didn't say these things, right? She didn't say that she's a lousy husband or anything. It's just that
all she said was
that
no celebrations, no flowers, no cards for me this Mother's Day because the husband failed to plan. I am disappointed because Mother's Day is the most important.
Yeah, but everyone interpreted it as such lah. So
there
I
were
guess
enough people.
Yeah, I guess the onus is, I would say, semi on her to understand that like anytime she posts something like this, it can be misconstrued or misinterpreted as like a different way. So it's not that like I don't think she's like going into this with like malice or wanting to like name and shame her husband or whatever, because I don't think that's her point. Even she came out with an Instagram post after that to like diffuse the tension and all that, right?
I guess.
Kind of, I guess.
But it's also a little bit
cryptic. I think she, at least from what I can tell, she's just someone that like is very open on the internet. Will share everything, every emotion, every thought. And even if it's like bad or like anything that we normally wouldn't share, she would just share. Which is like, I guess, her prerogative. I'm just wondering like, okay, I don't know whether the reason why I'm so uncomfortable with it is because like she crossed the line that I would otherwise have not crossed, or because I'm like, once again, super anti-conflict and I don't like to see this whole thing.
I think it's a bit of both.
Like, maybe it's a bit of both. But I I'm thinking whether or not if she didn't mention that, just say like, no cards, no whatever, no this Mother's Day, I'm a little disappointed. I never say because my husband failed to plan. Would that have been better? Would I have run that better
That would
for
have
everyone
been
else?
better for me. I feel.
Okay.
I personally, right, will feel that is better for me. Purely because
Okay.
she also does say that she is an advocate of positive psychology. Okay?
Yeah.
This is on her. So it is very clear that she is somebody who is interested in the way people think, right? And the way people feel.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
as a result, with someone that has such a big platform, it's very dangerous. And like I mentioned earlier, inconsiderate. Because you ought to understand that with a certain level of platform, and if you're truly focusing on psychology, positive psychology, right? Positive mindsets, I guess, right?
Yeah.
You should
Sure.
have very quickly identified the dangers of such a post. Like
Yeah.
you know where I would have gotten really angry.
Where?
Not at her, but at the situation in general. If people actually commented on the child's Instagram just to get a rise out of them. Thankfully, I went to the child's Instagram and no such comment.
Don't have lah.
Thankfully.
Okay.
But is it a stretch, I ask you,
Yeah.
that eventually some wayward commenter goes to the child's Instagram and say, next time you don't grow up like your father? Is it a stretch?
Nah. No.
Right?
I'm quite surprised there hasn't been any actually, to be honest.
Exactly. And that's where it gets tricky and inconsiderate. Because you
I
can
know it's
say
a bit
whatever
of a-
you want, right? The internet
Yeah.
feeds off drama. You just need to say, you can say, okay, like I just lift off one of the line from her latest post, right?
Of
Right.
course.
Some
What's the
days I
line?
love him more, some days I love him less. Some days I just want to kill him. Some days I sing praises about him. Some posts I sing praises about him. 100 others I share about positive psychology. One I write shitty things about husband. I want to say this is called balance, yin yang. But no, it's not. Because one shitty post about my husband is me being very conservative. Lol. So, just this.
I'm very confused by what that point
It is a little confusing.
Okay. I mean, I don't know what's up. Okay, I don't know what's the
you
point,
get
but
what
I
I
guess
mean. This is where it gets tricky because
Mm.
you can't claim to be advocating for positive psychology without being more careful with how you navigate social media.
I guess. I think it's more of like understanding your social influence thing, like you said.
Yeah.
Like understanding that the things you say have impact and the things you say will affect not just you, but like the people around you. So like for example, for me and Kezia, like I try to, as much as possible, every time before I talk about like our relationship or something that's related to her, to like talk to her and say, hey, can I talk about this? And she say, okay, then I'll talk about it. But if she doesn't say okay, then I'll recognize that like there's something she want to keep private also, especially in something like a relationship. But I think all this like kind of brings it to the question of like how much should you really share on social media, right? And for me, if you are in my Twitch chat, you'll know that like my line is like super hard and super clear.
Yeah.
Like something about like love life or relationships. If let's say got problems or anything, I wouldn't be like on this Twitch stream or whatever telling you guys that the problems that I have or like let's say we argue whatever. I won't be saying like we argued. I don't think that's something that I would like to share. I don't understand when people do, but what's your own personal line, John? Because apparently for her this is not a line, right?
Yeah, like I just want to decipher it a little bit for you because I think this line is like a little bit. Maybe because she's just more YOLO swag about it, but also a little bit misleading given the situation. She said, I want to say this is called balance yin yang, but no, it's not because one shitty post about my husband is me being conservative. Lol. So she's jokingly saying like, I just say one bad thing is being conservative already. Actually, I got a lot of bad things to say. To say that there's balance. To imply that there's balance. But you see, if we break it down very nicely like that, it's easy to understand. Oh, it's balance. She actually got a lot of things to say, so she just posts one only once in a while because husband and wife is like that. You see, we rationalize it out, it's fine like that. But if people first time see this, they're not going to take that away. They're going to feel that like, wow. So actually, got a lot of bad things you want to say to the husband, but you don't say.
Oh, that's true.
Do you get where it's
Actually, that's
tricky? and becomes very inconsiderate.
Mm.
Because that line in itself, right? If you break down the relationships and you try to be empathetic about it, right? One shitty post about my husband is me being conservative. It's a typical joke, right? I got so many things to say about her. I say her one time, actually, is being conservative already. Actually, a lot one. It's a joke. It's inconsequential to the relationship. But when you put it on social media like this, right? People are bound to jump to conclusion based on the climate of what's going on here. But coming back to what you mentioned earlier about what's my line. Personally, for me, I believe social media is purely for fun. It is a mix of my personal life, but it's purely for fun. So I post whatever, I don't post whatever, I enjoy myself most of the time. Now, if I do encounter any relationship issues, do I post it onto social media? I will post my feelings onto social media, but I will not post the circumstance onto social media.
Okay. Sure.
Which I think
that makes sense.
it's a very important distinction. Right?
Yeah. Because I think the circumstance, I think it's always more complicated when there's another party involved.
Yes.
Because you signed up to be an influencer or like a influencer, I fucking hate that word, but influencer.
Yeah.
You signed up to be someone of social influence on social media, but your partner / anyone around you did not. Like, they truly did not. They
don't deserve
dated
to
you
be
even
collateral.
before. Exactly. And like, it's always something that you kind of have to talk to your partner about, or like even talk to your family about. Like some family members don't want to be on the camera, never want to be ever on the camera, or some friends don't ever want to be on the camera either. It really depends, and I think it's as I said, as what you said, like it's always. I feel like every time you want to post something about your relationship, especially if it's not just like, haha, me and my boyfriend in the cafe, like that one's sure, I guess. But like, I think once it goes into like the more deep and personal things about your relationship, or especially something that you're not happy about, I think it'll be nice to ask your partner. For example, Kezia recently, is not even unhappy about, but recently I texted her something that she was a bit misled by, and then she jokingly said that like I lied to her. So, but we went on a banter, and then she asked whether she can post a screenshot of our messages on the Insta story to do a poll. So. I think even something like, hey, can I post a screenshot?
Yeah, I saw that.
Before you saw that, right?
Yeah.
So like, she actually asked me like, can I post this and ask for a poll? And if I said no, she'll be like, okay. But if I said yes, so she'll go ahead.
No, and that
but even something like that goes a long way.
And I think that's important. The fact that it contextualizes it as, okay, guys, don't take this seriously.
Yeah.
Right?
That's true.
Is of high importance, because people on the internet are hypersensitive these days, right? People who are your fans are more often than not, in the keyboard sense, die-hard fans. In the keyboard sense. They are die-hard, right? To the point whereby they don't need to contextualize, they will defend you. Absolutely nowhere. Let me just put it out there right now and bless the family for Sheila. I don't know her husband's name. I don't know the kid's name. Layla. Sheila, Layla, and her husband. Bless their souls. Absolutely nowhere she said the husband is a lousy husband.
Didn't at all.
Nowhere.
At all.
But every single comment on the husband post is he's a lousy husband, That's the effect.
I guess in Sheila's head, maybe to her it's like, why am I at fault for someone misinterpreting what I said? But maybe our point is that like you, not say you are at fault, but there's a part
That's
to play
where you have
also
to be careful.
That's why you have to be careful.
That's precisely where you are be careful, because you are not at fault, but people take it out of context. It's these two things. The person who posts all these things unintentionally, right? They are never at fault. No one is saying that it's their fault. Yes, it is true. The post and everything resulted in problematic outcomes. Fair. That one people want to blame you for that. That's fine. But people are not blaming your action purely for your intent. It's not that. It's that there is this unintended outcome that you absolutely must fix. And after that, right, you must be cautious for your future posts. And you better hope and pray as a social media personality, regardless of whether you are a model, an actress, or just happen to chance upon fame, right? You better hope and pray that your first mistake is not an irreversible one.
It's true. I mean, like, as I said when the podcast just started, like, I honestly think that like whatever she's feeling, like disappointment that she didn't get celebrated or whatever, a lot of people are thinking that's a little bit selfish or whatever. I personally don't think it is. I think it's fine.
I think it's fine.
Right? Like, I think it's fine to feel disappointed. In fact, I probably would have if I were
People
her.
are disappointed
But
by different things, and that's perfectly fine.
yeah, that's fine. I don't even think it's that bad of a thing that she posted her emotions out, because like maybe some mothers can relate. Maybe that helps some other mothers like cope a little bit better, especially if they are young children. I'm sure it's tough, and I'm sure it's tough for her as well. So I don't think that's that big of a deal. It's just that like I feel like that one line could have been left out and everything would have been the same. You know, it wouldn't have taken away from the message of the post,
Of the disappointment and the importance of Mother's Day. You see, that's exactly my point.
Exactly.
And that's why I feel that like my point since the start is that you have to be very careful, right? Especially if your following is very large. Even if you say, I'm not influencer, people just suddenly like me. Bro, that is precisely the meaning of influencer. You have an unintended or intended social media following is not important. It's just that the more people listen to you, the more you have to be careful. Just purely because the internet is like that, by no fault of yours.
Exactly. I mean, if you really need an outlet or something, or you really need to share with someone, like share your close friends list or something. I don't know. Like that's another way I guess you can do it. You can in fact share it, the exact same post to your close friends list, and maybe your close friends would have been completely fine with it. And
Would have
maybe even ask you
understood
if
the
you're
context a lot better.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Then like random strangers like the two of us, quite frankly, we have no idea how your relationship works. We have no idea whether or not you're happy.
Yeah.
I'm sure you are. So
Exactly.
like it's
And you know what? It's
tough,
in some sense of irony, right? The whole family is currently on holiday, enjoying themselves happily through her IG stories in, I think, Australia or something. So you see, right? The people who are angry and calling the husband a lousy husband or whatever, in a very ironic twist, these people are still just enjoying their family life overseas. So
I'm sure they're happy.
So what's going on, right? Like why this? Like in that should ring some alarm bells in your head. How come I show that the three of us enjoying in Australia, people still comment that my husband lousy? That should ring some alarm bells in your head that people on the internet are not as sensible as you give them credit for.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's something that we think about personally, like whether like for example our podcast, we always think about like what every time we say something, we always think of like maybe someone might take this wrongly or whatever. That's why this came so much, like the last episode we explained. So I don't think that's part and parcel of like being online. Is it fair to the influencers or fair to Sheila in particular?
Yeah,
it's topic for another day.
Yeah,
but unfortunately that's when you have the following that you kind of have to play the game.
When you are on the internet, regardless of whether you have a following.
You have to respect.
You can be the what's that guy on TikTok, the David or Daniel Rosal, saying that you can be whoever you are, but you say some inconvenient things. I hate to say it, but because of the Wild West nature of the internet, it's not surprising that there are people who jump to conclusions on your behalf.
Definitely. And I personally would have just left out that one line. I think it would have been fine. And like even for example for HDHD, the one thing I always say, like whenever someone asks me a question on like Twitch stream or how we prepare HDHD questions, the first question I always ask them, like when I do a pre-interview, is what are the topics you don't want to talk about? You just like die don't want. Like and some of them is like love life, some of them is family, some of them are things that like I've quite honestly have no idea why they don't want to talk about it. But it's not my choice to say, you know, right?
Yeah.
Maybe for all we know, she has talked to her husband about it, and her husband is completely fine with this. And
and maybe she even asked the husband can post now. Then she okay lah, sorry lah, post.
Actually, if that's the case, would you have been okay? Would we actually? Then I'll be okay with this.
No, regardless, as long as someone still comment on the husband or the child's post, right? I'm not comfortable already.
Okay, no. Okay, I feel like if the husband was okay with it and went into it knowing that maybe someone might have like scolded him or might take this the wrong way, or he might be like public enemy or whatever, and he knew and he said yes willingly, I think I would have been more okay with it.
If all those terms were laid out and he understood, I think I'll be a bit more okay, but that would not be a very healthy relationship.
Maybe the husband just doesn't give a shit, maybe. Like, actually, honestly, some people just don't care. Like, to them, it's like, I know I'm not a lousy husband, so they can say whatever the fuck you want to say.
Some
I am okay
people
with it.
do, but we must always also err on the correct side, ma.
Yeah, lah, but at the end of the day, we also don't know the husband, ma.
We must
Maybe
err on the
Sheila
safe
knows the
side.
husband.
It's true. I
mean,
trust that they know each other a lot better in real life also, but like, it's just tricky lah. Because you see, you accidentally put a target on a family member, on a spouse, accidentally, for sure. Because you can tell from the new post that a lot of it was taken in slight jest, except for the part where she's disappointed.
Yeah.
Right? The disappointment is real, but some of the parts were taken in slight jest. And
Yes,
honesty,
definitely.
right? In humorous honesty. But I do not know for sure if she recognizes the trickiness, the danger of posting something like this about your family member lah. And if she doesn't, then this is precisely why we're having this conversation.
Or maybe I mean, it'll be cool if Sheila watches this episode and gives us the full context behind the
let
post.
us know. I mean, but at the same time, before we go, once again, we all hate the disclaimers, but I do have to say it. Overthink, okay? We always like to discuss everything. We like to hear everyone's opinions, but always come in with an intellectual mind and never leave anything toxic for anyone. Okay? I always want to hear everyone's thoughts. Do share.
Yes, I mean, if Sheila watches this episode, first of all, hello.
Hello,
I think you're fine. But like, it'll be cool if you like tell us.
Enjoy your holiday.
If she told us enjoy your holiday. It'll be cool if you told us the context, and it'll be cool that if she told us like it'll be. If I knew that like her husband saw the post and he was fine with it, then maybe honestly I think whatever I said the last like 20, 30 minutes.
Control Z.
I control Z already.
Control A, Control Z.
Honestly. Yeah, really. If the husband knew everything, I just control A, Control Z already. Like straight up, like really. Like because then it's like her husband knows what she's posting online, right? Like then that's not really that big of a deal in my opinion. But if it's like without his knowledge and never go and talk to him about it, never discuss something about this, and then put him on blast, then that's where I have a little bit of a problem with.
Put him accidentally on blast.
Accidentally on blast, not purposely, accidentally on blast. Then I might have like a little bit of a problem with that. But if you tell me that she went through with her husband already and he was alright for whatever reason, doesn't really matter what reason it is, then I whatever I said 20, 30 minutes ago, just scrap it. I undo. Like straight up, like really, then we are just being idiots.
We're just being idiots.
To be fair, we are already just being idiots, but like if that's the case, you are more of an idiot than we think we are.
Yeah.
Alright.
But
that's just my opinion.
We are closer in level with those random ass people that go and tell the husband they're lousy.
Yeah, it's actually that's true. We should have found out about this. Shit, I should just like email her or something. But, not knowing the context, this is what our thoughts are. No,
but not knowing the context is ironically also the crux of today's issue.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
And that's why we have to discuss this because, like, can you imagine if the message was something more contentious, something more controversial? That's where it gets really dangerous. Because there are children.
I agree.
And impressionable people and malicious adults on social media.
I also want to say something. I know it's a bit of a tangent. How long is our recording time already?
It's about 33.
Okay, I'll just go one last tangent, okay?
Okay, fine.
Like 2 minutes. I think children Instagram accounts are a bit weird. Partially because the children have no idea they have an Instagram account. Like these children have no fucking clue what they're
Shout out
getting
to Julian from TSL and Luna.
No, for real. I think it's a bit weird. Like, look. Do you know what? If you want to provide them with a new career path or something, next time they can be an influencer, sure, whatever, right? Or even if, heck, you want to be influencer mom and that's a part of being an influencer mom, okay, I guess so. But I feel like it's a little bit exploitative considering that your child has no fucking clue that he's being on the internet. And you are posting like literally every goddamn thing about their lives. Like them like showering, or I've like showering videos of like their children. I don't understand that.
Never shower, thankfully. Okay, but I agree with you. There are some people who got
They have, right? They have. It's not a uncommon thing. This should be another topic, but I think it's a bit weird. Okay, move on. That's just my little tangent. On the line of what should be shared online and what should not.
Fair point.
That's just my point.
Fair point.
But yes, any last thoughts, John?
Personally, my thoughts are still the fact that it's a little unfortunate the way it has manifested. I'm just glad that it didn't get blown more out of proportion. Thankfully. Right?
Thankfully.
Which would have been terrible. They both, everyone, all three of them seem like wonderful people, and as such, they ought to be able to live the personal life that they want.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, if you have enough eyes on you, the less you are able to live however you want on social media. That's the
Unfortunate.
long and short of it.
We should do an episode about whether that's fair, but for now, that's just how it is. And maybe if you guys want, my final thoughts already kind of like talked about it, but so not really much concluding thoughts. But if you guys want us to do an episode about whether or not this is fair to influencers or people with high following, or another episode about baby influencers or baby Instagram accounts, do let us know, because I have a lot of thoughts about the baby Instagram account.
So I must wait for you to come back.
No, you can invite Gwen or something. Gwen has a baby Instagram account. Ask her to talk about it.
Okay.
I don't know. Can do whatever you want. Like, I think it's a fun topic to talk about. I personally think it's a bit weird. But like,
I
you know
personally haven't
Whatever.
solidified my thoughts, but I'm trending towards weird.
Right? We should ask Gwen. Maybe she will have an
not in
opinion.
small part to as in my aversion towards having my own kids plays no small part in this conclusion.
The fact that we even have kids is already a bit weird. All right. With that note, thank you guys so much for being here. Really appreciate it. I will be gone for the next 2 weeks or so.
Yes.
Have fun with this idiot and his guests who will be less idiots.
I'm the smart
sure.
one. He's the idiot.
Thank you guys so much for being here. Really appreciate it. And I'll be gone for 2 weeks. I think the 100th episode, I will try to call in and have a short clip to thank you guys.
And
but
I will
not too
reject
sure
it.
how that's going to work. Jesus Christ. But I'll be back for a week and then I'll be gone for another week. So the next 4 or 5 weeks will be John mainly. Enjoy it. Have fun. Stay safe. Don't get COVID. And see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Don't fight in clubs also. Bye-bye.
Bye.